Tevez da solo, Tevez all'interno dell'area, li fa fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel, of course, where it's all Juve all the time. I got Omer with me. We're going to tackle this week in news. We're obviously going to talk about the World Cup, and there's a match going on right now, which is Poland and Saudi Arabia, just getting close to halftime there. It's 1-0 for Poland. Omer, how are you doing? How's your week been?
I'm fine, full of action. Like every day, I watch the games at work and then I continue watching it at home. Credit to my wife because it's 4 games a day. Like I get back home when the evening game starts. Then we have like an hour and then the last game of the day. It's a World Cup carnival right now for me.
There you go. It's good. It's a weird time, and there's still people that just aren't quite getting used to it. But I think gradually everybody, as the tournament goes, and right now this tournament has had quite a few upset victories already here and there, and the groups are shaping up in a very, very interesting manner compared to what everybody expected, which is kind of ramping up that fever. And here's Jeremiah saying, "Hey guys, I must admit the World Cup fever is getting to me as per tradition. The temperature's rising day by day." I tell you, you start getting these victories, and obviously we're having our fun with our ride or die challenge and whatnot. Argentina was kind of the first team that got taken down by Saudi Arabia, and there's been upsets outside of that as well. But it gets you. Makes things interesting and gets you watching. That's for sure. Bob Yogasol, ciao tutti. Happy Saturdays to you and yours. Ciao, amico. And then Vito saying, good morning, AJC Army. Finally able to watch it live again. Missed everyone here. Hope all are doing good. That's wonderful stuff. Great to have you guys here. We're going to tackle the weekend news surrounding Juve. And, of course, we're going to look at Juventus players' performances in the World Cup and have fun with our Ride or Die Challenge. I just want to remind everybody, too, okay, this thing is not for fun, all right? We are raising money for donations for men's health and prostate cancer awareness for AJC Movember. The link to donate, and again, every bit counts. There is no donation that is too small. Thank you to everybody who already has donated, but the link is in the description to this video. We aren't far off our target, and we're making that final push over the last 4 or 5 days here in November, all right? So, with that, let's get to the news, Omer.
Let's go.
So, first up, we're going to talk about the rumor surfacing that Juventus is shopping Leonardo Bonucci and that he is available for a team to come in. Now, rumors, obviously, but hypothetically, if this were true and they are looking at getting him moved on and whatnot to make way for a new era, a new wave, whatnot, maybe get Gatti more integrated. We've brought Bremer in. Rugani's also said to be looking for a loan. Well, not him personally, but Juventus looking to move him on in January, whatnot. But the news of Bonucci, would it surprise you to see if they were in fact shopping him and listening to offers?
It would surprise me, but like in a good way. I didn't expect it because I feel like you have, with their so-called legends or icons, they haven't dealt it in a proper way. Guys who should have stayed left too early, and guys who should have left stayed on and on and on. I would have liked Juve to, be a bit more like some of the big teams and know when to cut the cord with some of those guys. If it was Bayern letting go of Schweinsteiger and stuff, and Real Madrid with Ramos, thank you for all you've done. It's time to move on. And Juve have failed in that department most of the time. And Bonucci should have been gone. Like his decline has been one of the most exaggerated I've ever seen. From what he's been in the past 2 years to what he's has done this season, it's crazy. Like it's a shade of his former self. I can't explain what has happened to him. He's lost everything that were his virtues. He's never been fast. It's not the speed or anything, but positioning, one-on-ones. He's just lost it all. Maybe it was Chiellini's presence. I don't know. But yeah, if you have a chance to still make money off of him, go for it. Time to move on. We need some fresh blood. Can't rely on him.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why it kind of caught me off guard because Juve, as you mentioned, have fallen behind in that many, many times previously and just hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, whether it's a loyalty thing or whatnot for the services. But yeah, this Bonucci one, the decline is there. It is probably up there for one of the strongest, like you were talking about. And yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, but I I could see it if they were looking at, and the rumors are true, of shopping him, and that automatic renewal kind of kicked in. And like I said, that's just a bad piece of business too. You never want to see automatic renewals. I don't care who the player is. You always want things in your hands and your control. So things like that, I again don't get
Yeah,
used to hearing that or seeing that
and
from Juve
and
moving forward.
considering how bad we've been in the past 2 years, like what were the standards to this automatic renewal? That's
Yeah,
what gets me. Like automatic renewal should happen in case the team succeeds. Performances could come down to injuries and stuff. It doesn't, he can be on the pitch for 40 matches a season, but it doesn't mean he deserves that renewal if we've done poorly, and we have done poorly.
yeah. Yeah, we will see. Must be noted, Wojciech Szczesny stopping a penalty at the 45th minute of that game, just before
Mhm.
hitting to halftime here. They've got quite a bit stoppage time. They're at 7 minutes of stoppage time, but Saudi Arabia got a PK, and Wojciech Szczesny stopped it, keeping Poland up 1-0. So yeah, this the World Cup's been wild so far. We are going to talk about World Cup and whatnot. I want to get into the discussion of the young guys. Okay, so we'll start talking about the young guys. Obviously, this has been a big topic for Juve. Obviously, because of Juve Next Gen, we know we have so many talented young guys, and it's something that Juventus isn't necessarily used to. Is trying to get them integrated and actually doing so far this season quite a bit. And a couple of the young guys have been catalysts for that turnaround in Miretti and Fagioli. And of course, Rovella, many have felt could have been with this team as well this season. Reports are that Manchester City did have scouts at Monza watching Rovella. The rumors to follow are that Manchester City is serious about making an offer, whatnot. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt. But Rovella, you have De Winter, who's being watched by 3 Premier teams, 2 Bundesliga teams. Okay. You have Sule, who's probably going to go out on loan in January. It's a little crammed for him to get minutes with Juventus. Then you have Illing Jr., who is going to have a contract extension offer to him from Juventus. However, again, has a lot of interest. And apparently, even though Juventus wants to extend his contract, whatnot, it's not going to stop Frankfurt from coming after Illing Jr. My question to you is, number one, well, it's just if we have to, because it's kind of not realistic to think that all of the young guys and all of the young talent are going to make it in and integrate it with Juventus. That's just not realistic. So I want to ask you who are a couple that if you had to move, give me the names of the youngsters that you would probably look at moving. Should we not be able to find room?
Look, I would say that watching some of these players, there are just some that I've watched more and some that I've watched less. So I like if Failing Junior wouldn't have played those 2 games against Benfica and Lecce, I would have said ship him out. But having seen him play, it changed your mind a bit. So all the same for Miretti. Um, Sule, I think I would send out on loan. There are some players that you just don't see them play enough, and it's nothing new. Like 2 years ago, we were hyped up about Dragusin, and now we have no problem selling him, loaning him, whatever. So probably the winter right now. Okay, let's do that in a different way. I'll tell you who I will keep. I will definitely keep Fajoli and Miretti. I will keep Ealing Jr. and probably will keep Sule too, out on loan or something, but not sell him. But it is a question of finances and money. Like if the right offer comes, even for Rovella, like if City offer 50 million for Rovella, would you do it?
Sorry?
If City offers 50 million for Rovella, let's say, would you do it? Like that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But here, the kicker, the tough thing is when you start looking at Juventus and what they need to do in the upcoming mercados, right? Paredes needs to go. So all signs right now say that the criteria was not met. The reports that we get told are that it was based on Champions League performance and qualification to KOs and whatnot. That didn't happen. So apparently Juve has no ties to Paredes, and it's fully expected he's going to be sent back. Rovella needs to come in my opinion, because when you look at guys that have gone and got their minutes elsewhere, Rovella's done very well with his minutes elsewhere. And even when he came and he was getting those preseason minutes with us this year,
It was
a lot of us thought, hey, we could use this kid. Like he could be there and offer a change up in the middle there. And we still feel that way. So Rovella, that's a tough one. He could, if he gained you that much, that's a big amount of money, but you'd still need somebody, and he could be a pillar for the future. So is that 50 million? Is that the way to get that 50 million? On Rovella, I'd probably say no. I would probably say I would want to see him come in and integrate it. Paredes out. The other thing is small salary wage when you're talking about Rovella. So bring him in by all means. But 50 million would be hard to say no to. It would be hard to say no to, but I think we've got to use him because it's going to help us, because we have other positions that we're going to need to address. And yes, that money can help you address them, but at the same time, there's quite a few in the middle of the park that need to go on. So you're going to need him. Yeah. So when you look at guys like Sule and whatnot, Sule is a tough one because we just haven't seen enough at that level to make that call, right? So it's kind of unfortunate because right now, if you see a good offer coming in for Sule, you'd probably be like, yeah, but we've barely scratched the surface with this kid as far as what he can do and really actually see him. So a loan for him is massive to a team where he can get some serious minutes for us to gauge properly, right?
Yeah, and it's not even like what's happening now. It's looking towards the future. Like if you lose Di Maria at the end of the season, still you bring in someone, you don't bring in someone, but Sule should be there and get his chance, but he should go out on loan to gain some more minutes in Serie A. And the rest, just look at it. Okay, player per player. If you have Rabiot, let's say Paredes and McKennie leaving in January or in the summer, and you have, let's say, SMS and Rovella coming in, I'm fine. Keep the midfield just the way it is. And no need to bring in anyone else. And depends on the money. Like a big offer could help us solve a few problems. Now, if they do get some players on free, because there are a lot of salaries that become available suddenly, if you manage to sign Grimaldo on free and maybe Adama Traore to the right flank on a free, you solved half your issues. You need to buy like a CB, maybe a midfielder, maybe someone to the attack, but that's not a whole lot. That's manageable with the finances we have. So it all depends on what's going to happen, especially in January and June, and then we'll be smarter.
Yeah, and then when you come into the finance talk and the money talk, obviously this has been what's our group chat's gone over it. I don't know how many times getting into it over Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, but the fee. Do you splash and bring this guy in? Like a couple of us, we're not so sure you make that move. And Joe Cappuccino felt pretty strong about, yes, you bring him in at whatever cost. I don't necessarily feel that way, man, because when you start talking about money and you're talking about a team that needs quite a few pieces, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we're in a big hurry for Sergei Milinkovic-Savic if he truly, in fact, wants us. Like 50 million's good. That's like, okay. 70, I'm saying no, to be honest. And even 50, I think, is more than I don't think he's a 70 million and 80 million guy, man, to be honest. Like he's a good midfielder, but I don't think he's that money midfielder. What do you think about that when we look at finances and splashing there? This was a discussion that kind of took off in the group chat.
Yeah. So I'll stick with my bowling partner, Joe. I am all in for SMS. 100 million, it won't happen. Juve won't spend 100 million
No.
on any player, not even 80. I believe. Now, it it's leaning toward the we're having the upper hand, same as the Vlahovic case. I'm sure it won't happen in January, but Nicolas Kira reported he's not renewing with Lazio, and there's no agreement. They know the situation. I would love nothing more than to get him from Lotito for 50 million after everything is said and shit talked Juve. Juve have met with his agent 3 times in the past season, and it seems like they have agreed on a salary and everything. So the wheels are starting to turn in that direction, and I'm sure Juve won't splash out too much. Now depends on outgoing. Like if you do sell McKenny for a hefty sum, 25, 30 million, that's still a lot of money. It don't depends on qualifying for the Champions League. I don't want to say Scudetto, but maybe then things can change. I would go for SMS. I would go for him. I think he's phenomenal, and I think he knows the league, he knows the language, he has his Serbian friends, and it seems like he is leaning towards Juve. It was reported yesterday that he doesn't want any move abroad. He would like to stay in Italy. His brother lives in Torino.
Yeah. But all in on SMS is one thing. His value, though, if Juve has to spend more than 60 million euros on SMS, do you do it? Let's say they had
Yes,
to.
yes, yes. I
Really?
would. Yeah.
Not so sure I would, to be honest.
Why?
Not with this team that we just need too much. If we had these other issues sorted out and had the money to do it still, maybe. But if we splash on him and then try to address center back, fullbacks on both sides, forwards, because Di Maria is only staying a year as well, and you're going to need. I'm not so sure. And I'm also not so sure he's that guy. And I know that Joe keeps bringing up his stats and the consistent numbers in Serie A, whatnot. But again, Lazio, and then there's the weight of this shirt. And everybody's talking about World Cup, and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic is going to announce himself to the world and whatnot. Let's not forget, he's had an opportunity to announce himself at a major tournament, and he fell flat on his face before. I'm not so sure he can handle the weight of the Juve shirt, if I'm being 100% honest. I'm not so sure he can do it. Getting those numbers and getting that at Lazio when it's a bonus is cool. When you have to put up those numbers at Juve, things change. And it's changed for a lot of players. So I like him. He's a good midfielder. I don't know if I splash at all costs to get him in. And if it's over 60 mil, I'm probably saying no.
I think 65 would be my limit. Like I can't say all in because if it's 100 million, then no, obviously not even 80. I think 65 would be my limit. Depends on other parameters as well. We still have a lot of players leaving, a lot, like end of contract stuff. So I can't really estimate the funds that we will have in order to make that move. But I think the management will set a price that they won't go above. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 60. I don't know, but they wouldn't go all out as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, Syria, that's great. However many years he's been consistently in numbers, but it's I don't know. He's a good midfielder. I just don't know if I splash if now's the time. It's like a timing thing for me and SMS. It's
Yeah.
that timing thing. But hey, it's a good midfielder, whatnot. But again, we've seen good guys fail at Juve, maybe not be worth that money sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. You've seen a couple guys that have done it. It could happen. You just got to be the thing for me is I don't want to see us splash and not have all the bases covered again.
I,
That's
I I don't
how I
think
feel.
I don't think that's the way this management works. Like everything they said have been, the opposite. They got Vlahovic, that was the big splash, but the rest was investing in the youth and looking for opportunities in the market. They haven't talked about splashing, and it doesn't seem like it is their way of doing stuff,
Yeah.
considering everyone we signed so far. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried.
And that's the thing. However, we do have some work to be done. And when you start looking at some of these options, even hey, finally reaching the news, a guy that you wanted, Frimpong, finally reaching the news and the link with Juve, 30 million there. I mean, and that's just one of our potential targets coming in to help. But there are some avenues Juve could go and take advantage of. Grimaldo being one as a left back option that is actually a free transfer coming at the end of season. So that's a possibility that helps make way. If we can have strong enough coverage in the positions we need to boost, and you have that money for Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, that's a different story. Then things change, right? But the biggest thing for me is make sure your bases are covered before you jump into SMS. And there still is, I'm just saying, there still is that chance that SMS, when you have to deliver, which he would at Juve, all of a sudden what he's doing at Lazio, it doesn't count for shit because now all of a sudden you have to do it here. Things change and players feel that weight, and it's going to be interesting to see. But Sergei
I, I
Milinkovic-Savic,
I would say he has been in the Champions League and he has qualified for the what was it, round of 16. Unlucky for them, they got Bayern and got eliminated, but he did have Champions League experience. It wasn't all Europa League,
yeah,
and he did well in the group stages. Obviously, if they qualified.
yeah. We'll see. Hey, we're gonna have a lot of time to talk about Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Believe me, that is not going anywhere anytime soon. Danilo's injury. So unfortunate setback in Brazil's match against Serbia. Sergei Milinkovic-Savic's Serbia, and it's an ankle sprain. He is probably out for both remaining group stage games, but should be back for knockouts for Brazil. Fully expect them to qualify out of that group for KO. So Danilo should be back within that tournament. That's all the latest I've heard on Danilo and nothing more. Omer, have you heard anything more on Danilo?
No, exactly the same.
Okay, so there we are on Danilo. Moise Kean, Serie A Player of the Month. My God. Did you think we would be talking about Moise Kean this season winning a Serie A Player of the Month award? It goes to show you, and it's something that I've been saying over some of the past latest shows was you need to wait on everything, all the business. Like you can make deals and work out options and contracts and stuff like that, but maybe don't finalize everything until later on in that season. And when you see this Moise Kean turnaround, we have an obligation to purchase Moise Kean. And it was one that Juve, all the rumors leading into the season were trying desperately to get out of and find a way out and all this. And his performances were brutal. Then all of a sudden, boom, he starts turning it around. It starts with cameos. From cameos, it gets into the starting. Obviously, when Vlahovic went down with an injury and he's trying to get fit, especially close to World Cup and whatnot, then all of a sudden, Moise Keane, he just kept going and going and going. So massive credit to him. But it goes to show you, man, things can change. Things can change so much over the course of a season. Your thoughts on Moise Keane, and all of a sudden, the obligation, the purchase price is still pretty high. It's pretty hefty, but goes to show you, like, you can't maybe write guys off so quickly, and got to look at the whole overall thing. We saw Moise Keane go to PSG and was very, very good for PSG. He was banging goals for us too before he left. He had that stint in Everton, which just was awful stint for him. I was happy for him to go to PSG. He was getting minutes. He was doing well. He was actually keeping Icardi on the bench too at PSG.
Bonus.
And now it's starting to come back for him. He's starting to feel it, and he's good. Your thoughts on Moise Keane, Omer?
Moise Keane, his name has been around a lot, and it kind of makes us forget sometimes that he's still really young. Like, he moved to the Premier League at 19. That's not easy, and not to a well-established team. Obviously, Everton are doing like horrible right now. And the past season, they almost got relegated to the Premiership. So it hasn't been the best situation for him to be in. He really did well at PSG. Better than I expected, got more minutes than I expected. And this season, we're all prisoner of the moment. Some of our listeners said that Sule should be shipped out after 15 minutes of playing in the preseason, and he had enough of him. So we are all prisoners of the moments, and specifically this season, the amount of stuff that happened that I didn't imagine happening. It's just staggering, like Max turning it over, Milik performing better than Vlahovic, injuries, Paredes being the disappointment that he has been, Di Maria injured. So a lot of happened in the past 3 months. It has only been 3 months, and Moise Keane is a part of it. He had a big dip, and it finally rose up to the occasion when Vlahovic was gone in important matches, Lazio, Inter, whatever. So I still have a soft spot for him. He is an academy player, and yeah, the price is high, but that was fully deserved. The player of the month he received was fully deserved. Like, apart from Napoli, everyone did bad, and Juve were actually great. I will have to wait and see how this, break will affect his form and whatever. Maybe not going to the World Cup is better, but so far, last month it was ship him out. Next month it could be ship him out again.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait and see. We change our minds every goddamn day.
You just gotta wait. Just gotta wait and see it out. And I've been like, just gauge it at later on in the season when you can look at a more full volume and body of work. Now, with coaches, we should talk about Coach Max Allegri, especially with Apex jumping in here, making some comments here. Goes to show you, Allegri is putting players into position to succeed. Saying he remembers first comment he made on Charles Pro Allegri, and the panel tried laughing at me. I don't know if we did or not. I can't recall. I don't know. But he said they wanted something new, recommended Conte, all of this talk about not giving up on people is grand. Here's the thing. It's a little bit different for a manager. Quite a bit different. Because for many things, when you talk about sports, no matter what way you slice it, that's usually when things go poorly, the first one to take the fall and take the hit. When Juve made this turnaround, which number one was absolutely massive, and you can't ignore the fact Max was fully in a position to be fired. Okay. Not getting out of the group in Champions League was a failure. Okay. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. a failure and a big one. Where we stood in the table, how the team was playing, the losses that we were facing. Don't get it wrong and don't get it twisted. He was in a spot where him getting sacked would have been completely justifiable. Okay. The turnaround that has taken place is absolutely massive and shocking, if we're being honest. Okay. That's a turnaround that in sports, 9 times out of 10, you just don't see, based on how much was going wrong, the players' morale, the issues you were hearing in the locker room, like everything, the players questioning Max, like everything was up in the air. Big move from Agnelli to back Max Allegri. And he was at a spot that his sacking would have been completely justifiable. He didn't get sacked. And now, it is working out for us. However, it's not completely written in stone for him as well to just continue to have the keys to this car. It's still up in the air. He still has a lot of work to do. And one of the things that we need answers on as we can move forward is what happens when all these guys come back. Can he keep that train rolling? Can he keep it going? And are the young guys still going to be integrated? Like, did he stumble upon this due to injuries? And did he find this formula through injuries? Whatever it was, now he's tasked with keeping it moving forward and keeping this team going. But make no mistake about it, he was at a point where, hey, his sacking was justifiable. But that's all I feel about it and whatnot. For those that were pro Allegri the whole time beyond that, hey, you were strong. You were strong, because for me, we were just not at the standards of Juve in all aspects. And his decisions and all that. Hey, there's people calling for Fagioli for quite some time, and we didn't get it until we absolutely had to. That's got to say something. That's got to say something too.
That's the
He was
thing.
one of the big catalysts. Omar, let's get your thoughts on this thing.
That's the thing. That's what I feel like. It started shifting when we got what we wanted, which is what we've been saying for a long time: play for Jolie, give some of the youngsters a chance. Interesting how it would have looked like if we didn't have all those injuries, but there's still tons of question marks going into the future that we don't know. How will Pogba get integrated? What's with all the players with their contracts running out? What you do with Quadrado, and if he gets injured suddenly? Lots and lots of questions. Max saved himself. I don't know if the forum would have kept going the way it did. Maybe he wouldn't have survived this World Cup even. But he did manage to save his place. But we have to look at the long run. If this season finishes, on a high note, that's great. Champions League football, Scudetto contenders, maybe going far in the Europa League, Coppa Italia, everything. If all of those stuff don't happen, then what you do? And I feel like, I'm trying not to put all my eggs in the same basket, because that's what I feel like everyone stepping back for Allegri did. And based on what he would have achieved, that would have, made up their minds. But maybe he got a bit lucky there. Maybe it's an effect of teams looking at the World Cup, players looking toward the World Cup, and Juve took advantage of that from Italy not being in the World Cup. Chiesa coming back, the youngsters playing at a higher level. Tons of factors. You can't just put it all on, Max suddenly did great. Things started to click. The Retiro made its presence known, and obviously affected the group. I don't know. None of us knows if it came from Allegri or from the players, but something has shifted. And I know it's a bit early to judge. Every month of this season so far has had different opinions about it and what we should do going forward. No one expected this Rabiot turnaround, this Moiskin turnaround, Alexandro proving to be an adequate CB, Bonucci falling flat on his face. Tons of stuff have changed in the past 3 months, and it can change in 3 months from now, and everything will look different.
Yeah.
So I won't make a judgment call, but he did save his job for now.
There is a sign there that Max could be maybe moving away from something he's kind of been known about, which is sticking to the guys, sticking to the old guard, whatnot. And that is he's sat Bonucci in the big games. And that's the guy that was the captain, had the captain's armband. There's been a little bit of shift where Danilo has now essentially become the guy, this leader. And to be honest,
Well deserved.
well deserved, rightfully so. He is this team's captain. When I watch Juve and I look at performances and I look at him play again down the stretch of the 6-game clean sheets, the results, he's the only guy that was in there for every single minute. He says all the right things in the interviews. He lives and breathes the attitude that we want to see, the standard. He always talks about the standard that we need to set and whatnot. He's doing all the right things. And that's one thing I will credit Max for, is that he didn't fall victim or trap to what he's done in the past, which is continue to go to those guys and have this extremely long leash. He had a very, very long leash with McKennie, which was driving me crazy. And that I couldn't understand. Again, going back to the Fagioli thing, and then Fagioli being one of these things that ended up being a big, big boost in the middle of the park. And he did give those guys a long leash, but it's nice to see him go away from it. No matter how he got to it, he got there. So let's be happy for that. Weston McKennie. It's got to be at the top of the list of guys to move. I've been told on this channel, and I've seen it in daily update videos, I've seen it in the live chats, that he is a different player for the USA than he is a Juve, and it's Juve and they can't figure it out, and Max can't figure it out, the guys can figure it out. I don't know. 2 games into the World Cup from Weston McKennie. Did you see anything different? Yesterday I saw some still not happy. My American friends on Twitter were not happy about his performance. And then some that were praising it, saying, hey, he's got his legs about him. He's got his legs under him and whatnot. I'm not seeing anything over the top from Weston McKennie. I don't. This is one of the problems I have with our midfield, was when Rabiot and Weston McKennie were 2 out of the 3 in there. I think you have room for one of them at all times. And I always said that. I still feel the same. Rabiot's probably going to move on. So the rumors about Rabiot are that it's 10 million that he's going to look for, whatnot. Juve's not interested in paying that much. There probably will be a team in the Premiership that will pay him, and he probably is going to go. But is that enough to still keep Weston McKennie around? For me, you got to move on from Weston. Weston's prime candidate to sell and make some cash. Do you feel the same, Omer? And how have you seen his couple of performances in the World Cup so far?
I gotta say, I haven't watched the game yesterday, so I don't know how he did. All I saw was that incident with the photographer on the side where he wiped his hands on his shirt. I don't know. Weston is a tricky one because I would ship him out probably because he has some value, but I don't hate him. I love this guy. I think he's awesome. I think he adds a lot of value to the locker room. He seems like just a fun guy to be around. It's just the footballing level is not where we need it to be. I don't know if it's injuries. I don't know if it's just maybe out of position. Maybe that link up with Quadrado on the right just doesn't work for him. I don't know what it is, but it's obvious that Fagioli did better. Can't argue against that. So I would ship him out, but it's not the same case as Sandro or Rabiot. Well, Rabiot is a different one, but some of the other guys that we want out, it's not the same case as them. It's not like get this guy the hell out. I like him. If we could make money, we have enough reserves and upcoming players to afford it. Like we're not banking on him.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough for me with him. I don't know. Technically he lacks. He could play a part. He could play a role. But right now, as far as it stands with the guys that we do have, he's pretty low on the pecking order. And we do have a decent, like with the young guys too, and not wanting them to lose minutes and whatnot. But McKennie's a different style, and he can find some goals and whatnot. He gets in good opportunities. He did with USA yesterday as well. But again, just didn't fall for him. And he's been pretty off for a while this season with Juve. I'm not so sure what it is, whatnot, but technically he's not to a standard you like to see out of midfielders that I do anyways. I want that technical ability there, so it's going to be very interesting. Someone just brings up Zakaria. Now, Zakaria's coming back. So is Artur. Um, can Zakaria get a second shot at Juve if we end up selling McKennie, can't renew Rabiot because he wants too much? Can Zakaria get a second shot at Juve, Omer?
Maybe I think he didn't get enough. Like he's been here for 6 months. He's been injured for a large portion of it. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I do think he's a quality player. There's issues there with Chelsea because it's Tuchel who wanted him, and then they fired him and brought in Graham Potter, and he doesn't like him that much. I don't know. Zakaria is an interesting one. I It's hard to judge him. We really haven't seen enough of him to say yeah he should stay or he should go. And there's still 6 months left. Have to wait and see. It's hard for me to make a judgment call on him based on what we've seen so far. He could get a if McKennie leaves and Rabiot leaves, we could find a spot for him. The more concerning one is Arthur, who
Yeah.
also should come back. That worries me a lot more than Zakaria.
Artur is just going to be, he's going to be a hard piece to move. And I don't think now, especially with what the young guys have shown and given us, Artur is just not going to have a spot.
No.
Especially if Rovella comes back and we integrate him, which I think we all feel needs to happen and should happen. That's it. That's it for Artur. Like, he's not going to be playing as a box to box. That's not him. So he's just not going to have a spot. And it's going to be tough because our hands are going to be tied. He stands us quite a bit of money. A move that we all liked at the time because of what we were doing with Pjanic and ended up getting Artur and thinking something completely different that we were getting out of Artur. It just hasn't worked for Artur. And there's been a number of different things too with well, you had that party scenario, you had the attitude scenario, there's a lot going on there with Artur, and it just has not been anything like what we wanted and expected. So that's just a frustrating one and a tough one. That one's going to sting Juve in the long run. I don't really know. Maybe, just maybe, you can find something with a loan, maybe an obligation at the end of it, but
My
honestly,
hope is that he'll be used as a bargaining chip for someone else. Maybe there were rumors a bit with Lazio and that Sarri wants him again, and I don't know if it is going to happen, but that's the best scenario I see. Using him as leverage in SMS or whatever, someone else. Other than that, that's a big money loss.
yeah, that one's just gonna be chalked up as a big fat L. I don't see any other way. If you can work them in some type of deal, some type of move somewhere, it's great. But again, this guy has it's just
Gave up
been
on
bad. It's
football.
just been bad. There's just a bad trail around him, and teams now have that and know that. So it's gonna be very, very difficult. If Juve can get anything, out of it, like I said, working into a deal of some sort or whatnot, then that's great. But I fully expect just a big continual hit on that thing on
And
him.
Swarit asked how long is his contract. I think it's 2024. Not 100% sure, but I think it's 2024.
I can check it right now. I thought it was 2025. We'll get
How long is Piazza's contract?
what's that?
How long is Piazza's contract? Because it is rumored that he is coming back and they're not satisfied with him. And this guy has been around since 2017 or something. Have we renewed him?
Well, the thing with him is if he hasn't got his opportunity yet, it's not happening. So it's crazy they haven't found something final. To this
That's
point.
the longest contract ever.
Arthur's contract with Juventus is there until 2025.
Wow.
Okay? So it's 2025 for Arthur. You were asking about Piazza, and Marco Piazza is under contract until 2024.
How?
Because they signed a document that had June 30th, 2024.
Damn it.
Yeah.
No, but that's like a 7-year contract. We had to renew him along the way. So why? Never mind.
Yeah. So, yeah, Piazza 2024.
He was here with Dani Alves. He came in at the same season. That's 2017, 2016, maybe.
I'm just going to pull up the detail because they're pretty good. They usually show you the signings, the details. Let's take a look here. So, Juventus, it was, my God, they've owned him since what? Since 2016.
Yeah, Dani Alves. He made it. He was in the squad that made it to the Champions League final. That's a long time ago.
2026. 2016. 29 million euros. He ended up being loaned out. Schalke. End of loan. Back to Juventus. 18-19 Fiorentina. A loan of 1 million. 19-20 to Anderlecht. I think that was, full season loan again. 2020 to Genoa. 21 to Torino. Now to Empoli. My God, man.
Man, him, Rugani, and De Sciglio. Talk about Fino alla fine. That's the longest contracts I remember.
Fino alla fine, indeed. Living up to that. My God. Yeah, there you go, Aldo. Yeah. Contract that said Fino alla fine. That is true. Unbelievable. So, it's tough. There was one season, though. Was it 2 seasons ago where we actually said, like, hey, he might be able to, like, we were looking for all these guys, and it's like, man, we own Piazza. He looked good. This guy's also, it should be noted, like, this guy's had injury issues. Okay. Injury issues. And there was one of those seasons he was around for Juve and he got hurt and he just didn't get his shot. And after that, it was just like, you're out the door, loan. Like we were all like thinking, okay, well, when he comes back, he'll get a shot. Not even close. So Marco Piazza, unreal. 2016. Wow. Okay. Luca Pellegrini set to return. Frankfurt, some mixed reports coming out of Germany there and how he's doing there. Do you see any way forward for Pellegrini? Can he maybe be a backup? The interesting one to think about here is that we purchased Cambiaso, and Cambiaso can actually play left side and right side, which to me might not actually leave a spot for Luca Pellegrini, because maybe Cambiaso comes in and some of the other options that Juve is looking at right now are left side and right side as well. So I think they're going to want to bring 1, maybe 2 utility guys as well into the mix for some of the guys we're losing. But What do you think about Luca Pellegrini? Is there any shot still at Juve?
I think that as long as the Chilio is still here, he doesn't have a shot. If because the Chilio occupies those positions left and right, so yeah, Cambiasso, Sandro leaving, we'll bring in someone else. Fine, I don't see how we can fit in another left back. He'll probably have to leave, but like we said before, the season is still long. He could do well for Frankfurt, and it will be better. But I don't see him integrated. I don't hate him. I think he's fine. Just bad circumstances.
Yeah. We've got Pellegrini as a backup to Cambiasso, looking at the fact Sandro is leaving. But Aldo says, I think Pellegrini's out, especially if Allegri stays. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Swadid saying, I want to see a 4-3-3 with Kostic as left back and a front three of Dusan, Di Maria, and Chiesa.
Me too. I agree. If we are going 4-3-3, I would agree with that. But we had the discussion before. 3-5-2 works for us, and there is not a lot of space. And Sandro is doing well so far.
Yeah. Single. This one will excite Frankie. Some discussions about Single, and I have to make a correction. And thank you to those who made the correction, because I said we don't have any non-European spots. However, that's out the window when I forgot about when you transfer from an Italian team to another Italian team, the non-Euro slot doesn't actually come into effect or matter. So Single, but still don't expect anything in January because they're not going to get rid of him in January. So if anything would be in the summer, but there's another mix there. But you are Team Frimpong, and we know that. There you go, Frimpong. But still, I've been saying this, and the shift in the targets that we're looking at is actually probably the most promising in quite some time. Like, you're not really hearing the big guys talk about disappointing names. Don't get me wrong. There's been rumors with disappointing names, but it's from sources that aren't to that level and to that credit. Okay. So again, we love the hypotheticals. We talk about everything because you should know everything that's being spoken about and all the rumors left, right, and center. And we just lay it out for you to play it out. Do what you want with that news. But again, the bigger guys, the names that we're hearing from are actually all pretty good and pretty promising and make sense in a lot of ways. Karsdorp, however, is one that I'm not really happy with, and that actually might be a play in January. How do you feel about the Karsdorp one, Omer?
I don't like it, to be honest, but I will give him a bit of credit. Like, Mourinho completely threw him under the bus, and if that's what he said to the press, I can't imagine what he said to him in person. Like, Mourinho doesn't hold back. If you've seen the Tottenham documentary, The All or Nothing, Mourinho doesn't hold back. So it's kind of unfair to him because last season he had a major injury and he came back because the team needed him. He came back earlier and killed himself on the pitch with an injury. And this season he's just been thrown under the bus. So I don't know. It's a weird case with him. Look, he might surprise us. We were most of us, not all of us. There were some were all for it, but we didn't like the Milik name as well, and he proved to be phenomenal. Great. He had a great start to the season. So my judgment, and judging player based on their performances with other teams is tricky. And coming to Juve is always different, especially for those Serie A players who come from lower sides. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to make a judgment call because I've taken massive L's about some players, and I'm happy that I did. And some of them, in the wrong way. I thought they would be great, and they weren't. So I won't make a judgment call so far.
Odriozola or Karsdorp, you had to pick one.
Probably Karsdorp. Odriozola has been shifted around and hasn't made it in Bayern, hasn't made it in Madrid, and they have aging Carvajal, so he should have had tons of chances. wasn't that good at Fiorentina, so not performing there. I don't expect him to perform at Juve. But if he does come in, then it is what it is. It kind of feels like the same for me, Karsdorp or Odriozola. It's
Yeah.
feels the same.
All right. All right. Now, we got a lot of the news tackled. We're going to have some fun and we're going to open it up to some questions. We got a little bit of time for that. We actually got, about 10
We
minutes,
have
maybe
time.
more for some questions. So let's get some Storm the Barn in. I want to remind everybody, like the video while you're here. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. But also, hey, if you can take a bit of time, okay, and maybe I'll challenge you guys to maybe change up your daily routine. And if you grab a morning coffee, if you purchase a morning coffee, maybe you purchase a lunch or something here or there, click the link for AJC Movember in the description of this video and please donate as we raise money and funds for men's health and prostate cancer awareness. That's the whole point of this mustache. It just happened that Juve went on an absolute tear when I got the mustache. And I tell you what, we've got some stuff put up on the line. Okay, so I put a video out yesterday. If we reach our target, I will run 4 jersey giveaways. Okay, one for Twitter, one for YouTube, one for Instagram, and one for TikTok. Okay, so four chances to win a jersey. And Twitter's obviously our biggest following, but and YouTube's pretty strong too at 3K. Instagram and TikTok could be your opportunities at having a high chance, as those are our platforms where we don't spend a lot of time, just to run our daily update videos and some clips and fun here and there, right? But 4, if we can reach our target. Everyone that's donated so far, massive thank you. It's something that's very, very important to myself and the team. I think when you talk to a lot of people, almost everybody has been touched by, cancer, unfortunately, in some way, shape, or form, through a friend, a loved one, family member, some themselves. Like it's crazy. So this is a very, very important one for us. And thank you again, everybody who has donated so far. We are very close to our 2K target, and I hope we can reach it. All right. So jerseys available. So let's make it happen, everybody. Now, Storm the Barn. Let's get to it. One we have right now, João Felix, rumored to want out of Atleti. Would you try for him?
No.
I would try.
I won't.
Absolutely.
I won't. I'll tell you why. It's not because of the player that he is. It's just because it cost them a lot of money, like over 100 million, and they won't ask for that amount, but they would ask for a lot. And he's a center forward. I don't feel we lack a player in that area. Like,
He's not necessarily
not
like
exactly like he
he's
can
pretty flexible. I think Atleti is a problem when you have these creative, like, look what happened to Rodrigo de Paul, for Christ's sake. Like,
yeah, that
Atleti is not the place for creative, these free flowing minds and players and whatnot. It just isn't. That is like, that guy wants, it's all well drilled. It's all like, this is plug and play. This is robotic. It's all of that is gone. So these guys that play in that manner, I don't expect them to just have massive numbers at Atleti or really thrive there. I would take a shot at Felix. However, if the funds are too high, they're too high, and then you look elsewhere. We're not in a situation to necessarily splash. So it's probably going to come down to that. But if there was an opportunity and we could afford it, I maybe do take that shot with Di Maria being gone and whatnot, and you can bring in a João Felix. I wouldn't say no. I get it. You've got Keane. You've got Milik, should probably be purchased so far based on performances. Again, wait till the second half of the season before making that determination. But Keane's coming on. You have an obligation to purchase Keane. He's going to be around. Vlahovic, Milik, still.
Look, I would say that the way that I would take him, like the correct way, to make that deal is with a loan and not an obligation, but maybe under certain criteria. Then we'll get to see him 1 year at Juve, see
Yeah.
if he's worth the hype, and then make a decision. But flat out splashing, I don't think they'll ask for anything less than 50,
No.
60 million.
He's
And
probably
that's a
going to
lot.
do. He's already a good start to the World Cup. He'll probably do good, and that value will stay high. So, Jeremiah, coming in here, thoughts. Vlahovic is looking more and more like a costly mistake. Just my gut feeling, based on facts that he's been poor. The weight of the Juve shirt, perhaps. Well, is he looking more and more like a costly mistake? Do you want me to kick this one off, Omer, or do you want to get into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I it's tough to really say right now that he's been a costly mistake, and I think the reason is if you look statistically at his goals per touches and things like that, like the numbers are actually good. So the numbers are good. When you look at the eye test and you watch us play and everything, Vlahovic hasn't been in while we've been on an absolute tear. Now, some might say, well, look at that. Is that because he's, and I don't necessarily think so. I think if you insert Vlahovic and, you've got the midfield that's cooking with Locatelli, Rabiot, and Fagioli, whatnot, I think he does good. I think he'll do very, very well. If you have Kostic that absolutely found a rampage of success all of a sudden and was doing very, very strong, I think it'll get in there. The price tag, is the price tag too hefty? I don't know if you can say that 70 mil is too much over just over a year of being, not even a year of being here, not even a full calendar year yet of being here. I don't think you can say that because the team itself has had so many issues, and the majority of the time he's been in the lineup, again, it's like over half our lineup that struggles and whatnot. So it's kind of tough. Maybe just maybe a little bit overhyped, but I think right now to say it's been a mistake, you can maybe say he hasn't been up to the value yet. But I don't know if we could say it's a costly mistake just yet, because I think I still want to see him with all the parts put together and everything like that. And you can't take something that wasn't necessarily working, put a guy in there and just say, okay, now it's all going to be fixed. You're going to score a million goals when all the other pieces were not doing well and not succeeding. And it's any way you slice it, it's a team game. However, I will say this, something I've always criticized Vlahovic for, he gets opportunities that I expect a guy at that value to bag. He needs multiple opportunities in a game. Like that one off when he scored in the Champions League, like just over a minute in, off that ball from Dybala, whatnot. That's like kind of the anomaly, but like he needs opportunities. Getting him on free kicks, that helps because he can bury those and get his confidence going. But overall, yeah, maybe he's not worth the price tag just yet, but I don't think we can say he's a costly mistake at this point. Omar, what do you think?
I think we forget how badly we needed Vlahovic last season. Like when we paid that 70 million, that was we really needed that guy. He cost a lot of money, but the thing is with those type of transfers, paying that much for a young guy, is that he has still a lot of time to prove his worth. Like at the time, I thought Bale was exaggerated, 120 million, but three World Cup and three Champions League later, it doesn't seem so expensive. So he needs time. Like you said, it's not even a full year since we've signed him, and now you want to ship him off. Like, has the team performed so well?
Yeah.
that he's been our only problem. No, the team has been bad, and he's been bad as well, along with the team. I wouldn't even say bad, but not up to snuff with what we expected. About the price tag, time will tell. If he suddenly gets us to a Scudetto this season, which seemed unbelievable a month ago, then maybe it's justified. I don't know. He's been thrown into a very tough situation. I think if you put him in that 2017 squad, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But he knows he came to a team who's in a rebuild phase, and he's probably the main figure in it. Maybe if like him and Chiesa didn't even play together, Chiesa got injured, I don't know, 2 weeks before he purchased Vlahovic. So I wouldn't make a judgment call. I wouldn't say he's a waste of money so far. Having said that, yeah, he has tons of stuff he needs to improve yet, but that's okay. He's young. Like, look, if Madrid would have gotten rid of Vinicius Jr. after one season, because it didn't go well for him and for Madrid, they
Yeah.
would have obviously lost because now he's a world class player standing for the World Cup contenders.
Yeah.
So patience with everyone. That's the key.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I haven't seen him with the team that's firing. I haven't seen him with the team that can actually control play through having Locatelli and Fagioli on the pitch at the same time. And Rabiot is doing his part. I haven't seen him with the team while they're actually playing serious ball. So it's really hard. If I look at that mess that happened earlier, it's hard to just pick one guy out of that team that was playing in a manner that dropped a game to Monza and say he hasn't been worth this. That's I don't know. To me, it doesn't necessarily feel right. And again, when we talk about the numbers, his goals per touches and whatnot is up there. It's high. But when you watch those games back and you see his struggles, sure, he's had some struggles in hold up play and whatnot, and his touch here and there, and some of his passing. But ultimately, we haven't been able to do what we need to do for him, which is feed him proper service and get him in those opportunities where he can do damage. It happens not often enough. And that's what I get out of looking at a number that says, hey, goals per touches, he's good and he's up there. But you feel like it's frustrating out of his performances and whatnot. Well, guess what? Half the team
The,
was upsetting.
the problem is that strikers, you sort of quantify their, if they are worth the money you paid for them, because they are strikers and they need to score. Now, let's take, for example, De Ligt. Same amount of money. Did he perform? Did he earn that money? Was it justified paying that much? At the time, it seemed so. And then COVID and everything that happened. So why does De Ligt deserve? And we gave him 3 seasons. Even us fans, in our minds, we gave him 3 seasons to prove himself. Why does Vlahovic get less than a year so far?
Yeah.
Like the two players, roughly the same age,
Yeah.
roughly the same amount. They should be given an equal time to prove their worth.
Yeah. I think again, I think it's too soon to call it a mistake. I do think it's fair if you think that so far he hasn't been up to the price tag, but to say it's a mistake right now, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like we should go like it's a mistake. No, not just yet. Storm the barn. Get your questions in. Okay, we do have another one here. We're going to fire this one straight to Omer right now. I do want to give everybody an update. It's 2-0 for Poland. Okay, so
No.
Lewandowski getting the goal. They're in the 90th, so they're going to be hitting stoppage time here. And there's a victory for Lucci's team in our
2-1
Ride or
still.
Die challenge, which we'll get into and whatnot. So we'll get into standings with that fun competition. Omar, coming at you. Which left-footed center back would you choose for Juventus?
Ivan and Dika from Frankfurt.
There you go. There you go.
That's it. Nothing. I don't even have someone else, on my list. It's that bad.
Really?
Yeah, because the rest of the guys we're linked with are either way too young and not proven at a higher level or didn't have experience at a higher level. He still won the Europa League with Frankfurt. He played with Kostic on the same side. He did play against some of the bigger teams and did well. He looks promising. By the way, great purchase in FIFA. If you're playing career mode, go for him. He's pretty cheap and has great potential. And that's it. What else? What other names did we have? That I don't even remember who else we had.
Strahina Pavlovic, another
Pavlovic is
Serb.
interesting.
He's
interesting.
a unit. Guy
Yeah.
is a unit. Left-footed. He's intriguing. So Indika for sure. So I think Pavlovic is an interesting one as well. To have
I'm
in
just
there.
saying that because I have watched Ndika play. I haven't watched Pavlovic enough, mainly at all. Just the past game against Brazil from Serbia. So I don't know. Maybe if I watch him more, my opinion will change.
Yeah. So Pavlovic, Indika, there's some decent ones out there. There's another one that's loosely linked. Pau Torres, loosely linked, not as much as Pavlovic and Indika.
He would probably cost more. Like he's, a well-known guy who has a lot of suitors, and he doesn't have like Juve on his mind. It's not such an opportunity for him. He can go wherever he wants, basically, if he's available. So
Yeah.
I would take him. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. We got some interesting comments here. Thanks, Jeremiah, who's got to get going. Another great show. Fina la Fina. Always. Let's get to a couple more comments here. So Apex is saying, just want to point out that a lot of Serbian players have been getting hyped as of late, since there's plenty of them in Serie A, most of them being average.
Based on what? Against Brazil, the top contenders for the World Cup? That's I would call them average. They got a tough draw.
to really take on them. But I mean, yeah, for me, Milinkovic Savic, just I was kind of talking about him in just international term, but that's based off the Euros too. Because again, I didn't see this guy on the international stage doing anything that was like, okay, yeah, like this is the guy in Serie A. That's great and whatnot. And maybe that's all Juve needs, and that's fine. But I don't know. Like we need that guy. We need Champions League. If you're gonna splash, want to be a little bit more confident. Dell's coming in here. We kind of got into this a bit, but his storm the barn is just, have you ever seen SMS really shine outside of Serie A matches, internationals? He feels that he's just universally overhyped in Italy. We got into this earlier on. Dell's, I think, was not joined at the time. I basically just said, hey, I don't necessarily know if we splash that much on him, to be honest. And the funny thing is that a lot that are saying yes are now kind of looking back at the Vlahovic deal as maybe being a costly mistake. But Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, his numbers in Serie A are strong, and they were consistently strong. But again, that's the question. That's the exact same question I asked Dels, is the last Euros fall flat on his face. Will the pressure of being a Juve be too much? I don't know. 50 to 60, and we have our other bases covered, I'm fine. Let's do it. We're splashing more than that, and we need help still, and we haven't bolstered those other positions. Interesting one.
What I would say is that international football is a bit different. You don't get the amount of time and chemistry you get with a team. So I'm cautious with valuing players over international tournaments. Look at the Immobile and what he has done for Lazio and for Italy. Two different type of players. And SMS could be the same, maybe playing the middle of the season has its effects. I don't know, but international football is a bit different. I don't.
Ciro Immobile, I don't put that down to a chemistry, man. Like he gets the opportunities for Italy and just simply doesn't bury them. And for the club, he does.
Well, like I said, he's a striker. There's a very specific thing expected from him on the pitch, and that is scoring goals.
Yeah.
Midfielders are a bit different. You judge them by different stats. So it's not exactly the same case, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. Chiro, it goes beyond the Italy thing too, but and even Chiro, I would say, take him away from Lazio, and does he do it at a massive club when those expectations again are you have to do this. It's not okay. Let's see. Like we want to hit this objective, whatnot. No, it's like you have to do this at
Look,
Juve.
Higuain was also phenomenal for Juve and not so phenomenal for Argentina. And I can't always judge. There are players who are great for their national side and don't do as well. And, club wise,
Yeah.
every player is different. I won't judge players based on the performance of other players.
SMS, like I said, is a good like yeah, he's a good midfielder. He's a solid midfielder. Again, though, just like anything, there are some doubts there. There are some doubts there. And again, if people are starting, I find this interesting because if we're starting to question the Vlahovic thing, do you back it up with another splash? It's 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 interesting. The whole thing. Pogba, Spotty makes a great point. And Nick brought this up on one of our last post match. Yeah, I think it was the last post match pod of the season or pre match. He said, did they not kind of make up their mind already in committing to Pogba?
Maybe they have.
Yeah.
My concern was that Sergey is similar to Pogba in his style of play, which means he doesn't run as much you expect from a midfielder. Pogba is more of a creator, but he is not the type of guy to track back and sprint all across the field. But I was proven wrong. Sergey is when I checked, he was had the most kilometers per game in the league. So he does work hard, and pairing with Lucatelli was also running a lot. He's barely injured, like very rarely injured. So if both of these guys play and cover the ground, then it could work. And that's what Rabiot does basically. He runs all game long and is barely injured. It's the salary and it's the price tag. It's always about money in the end. And does the player worth his salary or his price tag? But I will expect more from SMS because he's had more experience. He's older than Vlahovic. I wouldn't put them in the same bracket. He's 27. He should be at the peak of his career. I don't know. Let's wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be, hey, like I said, these things can go any way. The hypothetical, the discussions, this is all great. I love it all. Again, how many of us didn't want Milik? Hey, he's been pretty damn good since he came. So we wait and see. Wait and see what happens. We might have some thoughts and opinions, and that's the best to see how it plays out after. And then, hey, if we have to call somebody out on an L, it is what it is. I've taken some. We've all taken a few here at AJC, but it's all good, and the discussions are great. The live chat, you guys, again, as always, fantastic. We are going to talk about the AJC Ride or Die Challenge. Okay, so I'm going to put up here, obviously, our clubs. This is who everybody has. I'm going to go over the standings so you guys know who you teamed up with, who you decided to ride or die with right now. And this does not include today's matches. Okay, so we have Joe Cappuccino in first place with 4 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. Lou is second with 2 wins, 2 draws, no losses. Omer, third place. Then Anthony, Lex, myself, Lucci, and Luca in last place, putting the big fat L in Luca right now, sitting in last place. But that's okay. There's a lot of games to be played. Argentina, those riding with me, okay? It's okay. It's all good. We just waited out. Big one today, Argentina and Mexico. See if the Argentina side can get back on the win track. And before that, France and Denmark, which is going to be a very, very good match. Lou is going to have 2 of his own teams, France and Denmark, playing each other. And then obviously with Argentina and Mexico, that'll pit myself against Lucci, and that's going to be an interesting one. Let's get some thoughts on those games. So, Omer, any predictions for France and Denmark? Who do you think is going to take that one?
I think it's France. They did look impressive. Maybe it's just Australia. You can say that, but it was also just Saudi Arabia, and obviously they did win. So I want like this type of stuff happens in a World Cup all the time. Like it's never all the big teams winning all their games, and Argentina has their backs to the wall. Like literally, if they do lose or draw this game, they're almost out. That's the tricky thing with group stages in these type of tournaments. It's only 3 games. You win your first one, you're almost certain to go ahead, and if you lose it, you have to battle for your life. And Mexico are no pushovers whatsoever. Now I gotta say, I got screwed here. I got screwed in this draw because two of my teams are in the same group. Like two are in one group, the other two are in the same group, and it's
Well, you didn't
Japan.
get screwed. I mean, look at
Dude,
Anthony has 3 in the same group.
yeah, I got, but I have Japan with Spain and Germany. That was a lucky win for me. That Japan win. So Japan has to play Costa Rica, which I don't expect anything from Costa Rica, and then they both have to play Spain and Germany, and the other two are also in the same group.
Yeah, but if
Portugal
anything,
and
you
Uruguay.
get points when those two teams play each other. So,
or a draw between all of them.
take it easy.
But I won't make no like we'll make our wins in the later stages, not in the group stages.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm third is astonishing to me. I thought I'd be last.
So this World Cup Ride or Die Challenge, obviously, it's just fun and keeping things interesting. The team members, I don't even know if they paid attention or no, but obviously, if you chose, and I have the full list of who everybody chose to be represented by before we even drew the nations. If your team member wins, their team wins a World Cup, those people are entered in their own draw for a national team jersey of their choice. We're also going to have prizes for most points at the end of group stages. So somebody can win a prize there. Okay. Top goal scorer. Whose ever team ends up with the top goal scorer, that group will be in for another random draw for prizes. But the team doesn't know that whichever team member's team wins the World Cup, they're going to get a prize too. Because the AJC team members, when we do all these giveaways and stuff like that, they don't get to take part and whatnot. And, we've given away some pretty deadly and epic kits and whatnot. There's going to be one on the line here for all the team members. So there you go.
I will ask you a question. It's a question for the chat as well. Out of all the Juve players who played so far, who's been the best? Who had the best performance?
Out of all which, sorry?
The Juve players who played so far in the World Cup. I have to go with Rabiot.
Oh, yeah.
Then a goal. But other than that, because it's kind of the obvious answer, who impressed you the most so far?
I think today, from what I saw before we jumped on live, Szczesny was having a game against Saudi. We jumped on and he had stopped a PK as well. So Szczesny's going to be up there next to Rabiot for and you know what? Danilo was great against Serbia too. Got injured, obviously. Won't see him back till knockouts or whatnot. But Rabiot right now sitting on one performance top, and then Szczesny right there. And
does Danilo getting injured make way for Bremer in some sort of way? Because Brazil play with a 4-man back line.
Those playing Silva and Marquinhos as their 2 center backs.
Yeah, so who's stepping in? It's like Dani Alves. That's what they have available at right back.
Yeah.
And
unless they
200-year-old Dani Alves.
There's somebody else too. Dani Alves is there to, I just think, play the drums for them when they walk around doing their songs and chants.
What did you feel about what he said about his time at Juve? Like, he had an interview this week and he said that whatever he said, you might have read it. Everyone probably read it.
Yeah, Dani Alves, he basically said that they signed the wrong player. He said, I don't play long balls. I haven't played a long ball in my entire life. He says, we pass the ball short and whatnot and play like that. He's like, they signed the wrong guy. To me, I found it funny and I kind of laughed, to be honest. Number one, because I couldn't care less what the guy has to say about Juventus. And he said, oh, this is why I couldn't find minutes and whatnot. No, it's because you started off that season that you were with us junk. He was junk for the start of that year with Juventus. A professional player not being able to play a long ball is... I've never played a long one in my life. What are you even saying? What are you even saying?
And where did you think you're coming to? Like, you don't know who Juve are? You don't know that Italy is a defensive league? Well, like, what were you based? You signed for the wrong team. We signed the player. You paid money. If they ask you to kick the ball upfield, you kick it upfield. That's what is required.
What's hilarious is that Max actually shifted him forward. By the second half of that season, Dani Alves wasn't even playing like towards the back. He was like one of our flex players on the right side, right flank, and he was very attack minded. So I don't even know what the hell the guy's smoking anymore. Like, it's like he completely forgot about his time at Juve and doesn't even remember what the hell happened.
Yeah, if you sign for Atletico Madrid in hopes of gaining attacking football, then it's on you. You were obviously a defensive team, especially that season when we had like 2 goals in the Champions League until the final.
To talk about their game, though, and even just like, oh, I've never made a long pass. They play like this. They sit at the back, long balls forward. That's not even how we played at all during the second half of that season.
Yeah, we're a very dominant possession-based team.
Yeah, you were literally played as a right winger, for Christ's sake, pretty much. And it's just like, do you forget about this? The guy is... Anyways.
I like him. I think he's a great player, but that comment was like, you're blaming the wrong guys here.
He's just... it's who he is, though, and he's always said stupid shit all the time. And we know, like, what he's talked about Juve. And I think it's all because of what has come out about that halftime and whatnot, and he just fucking keeps going at Juve with these stupid little things. But anyways, Dani Alves as a player, I always liked him. Was elite, no question about it. But yeah, it was just something so silly. But yeah, Argentina and Mexico, you got to pick a winner.
I think that's a draw written all over it. Like, it is rumored that Paredes won't start. That's what they said. So probably Enzo Fernandez from Benfica. And Di Maria will play. But I think that's a draw.
I think Denmark can maybe get a draw against France, but I expect France to win. I think Argentina beats Mexico today, but I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be like an easy victory. It's not going to be convincing, but I think they edge Mexico today. But I don't think it's going to be easy by any means, and it's going to be a grind. It's going to be interesting. Going to be an interesting one for sure. But those are 2 games that I look forward to watching today. Everybody on the live, okay, man, we tackled a lot. The Marco Piazza thing still gets me. 2016, everybody, unbelievable. Even our contracts are signed fino alla fine. Okay, so there you have it. Everybody, great show. Appreciate everybody in the live. If you can like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up before you sign out. And again, I'll keep you in the loop. Update videos daily on Juve News. And then, of course, we'll do another recap live and keep in touch with what's going on in World Cup, our Ride or Die Challenge. Good luck to all of you in, whichever team member you've chosen, okay? For those that are Team Berto, let's see if Argentina can do it today. Not a good start for the tournament, but hopefully they can get it right against Mexico for us. Otherwise, Might not be winning you much. Let's see. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekends. Okay, thanks for joining us today. And till next time, as always, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Ciao tutti. And let's go Canada tomorrow, okay? Canada had a positive showing against Belgium. Just couldn't get that damn goal.
Great game. I enjoyed it. Bravo.
Yeah, Canada went for it.
Yeah.
Got to get Davies on the ball more and maybe choose your actual penalty shot taker for the PKs. That was the first PK for Davies, period. Maybe should have went with Jonathan David, who'd actually take some for you. And just saying. But good luck tomorrow against Croatia. I'm not going to say what Canada's coach said about Croatia and what they're going to do, but good luck. Good luck. Everybody, ciao tutti. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.